9. We're both doing a countdown. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And it is lights out, and away we go.
We should be firing on all cylinders here. Here we go. I'm very excited to see how this race plays out. Looks like Cryptic or Yarasu starting slightly earlier than Cryptic here. Has Cryptic received the message?
He was in the... he did confirm. There we go. He does get going.
He is underway. Not really going to matter too much due to the variant one-timer being in use. But yeah, obviously, this is the match of lower pools for me personally. This is, in my opinion, the two best people that we've got down here, certainly on their day. And it's going to be a really, really good one to watch. I'm excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, definitely. Both of these runners PBing in the last few days. Yarasu in tournament becoming the top ranking French player in the world. And Cryptic, who earlier today with a low 24. So going into about the top 25 of all players. So
absolutely fantastic times. Yarasu there not landing CE skip. But yeah, as you say, you know, both of these runners, in terms of where they're at with the times and the PBs, there is not a lot to separate them at all. It's just a matter of consistency, I think, is going to be what this comes down to, as we see neither runner hit CE skip.
Yeah, so keeping them hopefully nice and close here. So when you have these races like this, you don't want to see one getting too big of an early advantage by hitting something. Definitely gives it a chance for it to be a nice and close race, which is what we do want to see. Yeah,
of course. And you don't like to see that, you know, there is method and skill to something like CE skip, but you don't like to see it be the deciding factor in a race like this, where you really want to just see it come down to who was better on the day. And right now, Yarasu is slightly out in front. That will probably be down to somewhat his RTA early start ahead of Cryptic.
We can check Yarasu going underneath there at 139, so we'll have a check where Cryptic is. Cryptic probably a little bit ahead here, about 2 seconds.
Sticking too. So room for a very clean truck section here from Cryptic. He sticks the second spin dash as well. And some unorthodox movement there, but managing the third one. 201 out of City Escape on the timer for Yarasu. Cryptic coming up behind now, looking likely with a 157. Nicely done by both runners. A solid start.
Cryptic actually getting a 154 in terms of the in time for the level, but spending so long in those pauses trying to set up City Escape skip there, losing about 2.5 seconds.
Well, I mean, that goes to show just how good he was outside of those pauses, you know, because with a City Escape skip attempt, rather, I should say, it loses you a fair little bit depending on how things play out. So to get such a comfortable sub 2 is impressive stuff. As we see both runners coming to Bigfoot now.
Yeah, 154, definitely not time to be to scoffed at all. It's a very good skip, especially with, as you said, that failed attempt.
And we'll see both runners pretty normal-looking Bigfoots here, I'm sure. Although Cryptic actually opting to go for the homing attack strats rather than the somersault jumps, and coming out with some clean execution too.
I think that is the technique he is used to. Do tend to see him going for that in all his runs.
Yeah, it served him well. That does save him about, I think, just under a second on Yarasu there. As we load into Wild Canyon now. Yellow ping from the off for Yarasu, on top of 10 fingers.
Yeah, Yarasu taking the hint there, which you don't see most runners do for that yellow ping. There are only 2 pieces it can be, and you obviously have to see him wait there for the next hint monitor.
4 Willing Eyes will be his piece 2. Cryptic there getting his free piece. Pillow Without a Treasure, I believe that was, into On a Railway. Always a tough piece to make work, but he comes out with a very, very nice time, considering a 2070. Cryptic is one of the best when it comes to Knuckles, so it's almost not unexpected.
Yeah, definitely. And Yarasu, they're getting a decent time himself. Obviously losing probably a couple of seconds there waiting for that hint monitor, but still getting a 24 out of that. A pretty nice set overall.
Yeah, interesting decision for Yarasu to make. I'm not sure if he was necessarily putting a lot of thought behind that, or just perhaps in the state of play, maybe a little bit of nerves there.
I mean, there are obviously only 2 pieces in that stage you normally do not get a hint for, so very natural rhythm just to go grab that hint before getting a piece. Or maybe he's just not that familiar with it. I'm not sure what his comfortability is with radar reading and sort of pieces in some of these knuckle stages.
But in terms of RTA, we're very, very neck and neck. Cryptic only, also only narrowly ahead on the variant one. I'm going to see how Prison Lanes will play out for these both now.
Something to note about Cryptic earlier, in his run that he did PBL, he did gold this split, so coming into it, a little bit of Prison Lane form, so we'll have to see just how it goes.
Well, that's the thing, is that, you know, we've seen a lot of the time, Cryptic being a prime example, you can practice and practice, but sometimes form can just go out the window here. So, well, we'll see how well it serves him. Could serve him well, it could be a false dawn, so to say, maybe, but doing well so far.
Yeah, definitely. We see both runners here getting decent elevator times, so not a lot to separate them through the first 40 seconds or so of this stage.
No, not a lot to separate them in general. You know, there's not been a lot that sort of made me turn my head to either side of the screen just yet. Both runners just getting on steady pace here. Nothing incredible, but steady. Coming up on the final stretch of Prison Lane now, Cryptic sniping those two. I didn't see if he broke the boxes either. He did not. That does save you a little bit of time if you pull that off. Opting to snipe the gold beetle there as well.
But you are able to shoot these boxes as you make the turn, which is the strategy I usually go for. Nice little backup to have there if you get used to it.
Yeah. Now Cryptic landing the second... Oh no, actually! Losing a little bit of time there. Yarasu will look to seize on that.
Yeah, Cryptic going for that.
Worst time loss in the world.
Going for that faster gate hop. We see Yarasu there running into the gate and accepting the slower one. The two different methods of taking that. Obviously, Cryptic's method is faster when you do get it, but is that chance of losing a few seconds if you do get it wrong. But even with that mistake, he still comes out a couple of seconds faster than Yarasu through that stage. So just boosting that gap now up to about 11 seconds.
Very, very nice execution from both runners. Cryptic there, yeah, like you said, despite his late mistake, still coming out with a fantastic time. And Metal Harbor will be the next stage up on the chopping block for both. Gonna see how these play out. Cryptic struggling with the underloop there, losing a smidgen of time. Yarasu executing it nicely. We'll see now. Will Cryptic opt going for anything unorthodox here? I imagine he's probably gonna understand just how tough of a task this race is gonna be. I don't think either runner will likely be going for anything out of this world in this race. I think they're both just gonna do what they can to keep things under control, not risk throwing anything away against such a close competitor. Although he is opting to go for pulley skip here, actually, and lands it nicely, which Yarasu does not.
You're actually getting the loop speed out of the back there, so not actually losing that much time to Cryptic going for that skip. Cryptic for getting stuck behind that box, so it probably came out fairly even, despite Cryptic going for the much riskier strategy.
Yeah, pulley skip doesn't save super amounts of time if you're not executing it perfectly well. So yeah, we are seeing both runners, in terms of what the time is on the clock, very, very similar. I've imagined that we're going to be coming towards the end of Metal Harbor with similar times. 1:13 into this final boarding section for Cryptic. Yarasu not far behind with a 1:14. So yeah, very similar execution again on this next stage.
Cryptic opting for a rather different way than recommended getting off the
yeah, a lot of
loop
there.
So he takes the right-hand speed pad, which is slower than the middle one, and then, yeah, waiting a little bit longer to get off the loop. So it does mean Yarasu ends up coming out with a 125 as well as Cryptic. So definitely keeping this race very close as we head into our unskippable, unnecessarily long cutscene.
Yeah, a lot to talk about here, you know, a lot to break down. It's been very, very even so far. Not quite as even as we've seen other races be, but like we said, neither runner really opting to go for anything crazy in terms of strategy, in terms of execution. We've got a lot of stages which will be coming up, which will see some options presented. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, you know, I think I would be amazed if either runner runs away with this. I think that we will see a fairly neck-and-neck race for the majority of proceedings.
Yeah, I think this is going to be less of a race of who's getting the better times and more who's avoiding those big mistakes. That sort of level of consistency between both of them should be very similar. So it's mainly going to come down to who can avoid maybe that one big death or that one big time loss.
Yeah, and speaking of consistency there, both runners getting an 11-second Shadow 1 fight there. Always a nice thing to get through with no mistakes.
Yeah, it is possible to get the 10-second fight there, or a very high 10-second, but
It's
it does.
not easy.
Yeah, exactly. It does add that extra degree of risk having to take that spin dash hit at the start. We have seen it once in this race, once this tournament, sorry, at least from Ninja Frog. He got an 11:09 from it, so definitely showing how much further you can push that fight.
Wow. Very impressive from Ninja Frog there. That's what you see in upper pools. And, well, we could see a lot in lower pools here as well. Yarasu struggling a little bit in this first tunnel. Coming up on his checkpoint. Cryptic just narrowly reaching ahead, but Yarasu looked like he was setting up for Air Yeezy there, unfortunately not landing it.
Yeah, it did look like an attempt. We just came off there a little bit too early, so not getting that angle right.
Yeah, just losing a little bit of time there on Cryptic. Cryptic offering to pause buffer his way in there, setting himself up for a nice mini wall run. And Yarasu not a million miles behind either. Does also get mini wall run and makes his way all the way up as we come up to the big one now. We've seen both runners go for and hit wall run here. This could be a difference maker as Cryptic makes his way onto the loop, sets up his spin dash, and launches himself towards the tree. Doesn't quite land it. Unfortunate for Cryptic. What will Yarasu do here? Not opting to go for it, actually.
Cryptic also getting thrown down there on his way up, so definitely losing out on some time. Bringing these races very, very close together now.
Yeah.
Yarasu hitting that sprint at 26, Cryptic falling down to about a 23, so only about 3 seconds between them after that mistake from Cryptic.
This is a great race so far. Fantastic watch. As Yarasu goes for bungee skip now, should land this comfortably as long as the cameraman is feeling kind, which he is today. Cryptic, for the first time in this race, besides the beginning where Yarasu launched out a little earlier, behind from RTA, but still ahead on Variant 1.
They're getting the loop speed coming out of the back of the loop there, so saving a bit of time of Yarasu didn't go for it. But still, we're looking only probably about 5-6 seconds between these. About
very,
under
very
5.5
close.
seconds.
That lead from Cryptic has been cut roughly by half. Yeah, as you say, there's only about 5 or 6 seconds in it, where there was about 10 to 11 before, so we're getting closer. Yarasu is creeping up as we leave Prison Island.
Yeah, and heading into Pumpkin Hill, another one of these hunting stages that Cryptic is so familiar with, but not always down to your skill level when you come to these stages. Even the best players can get a little unlucky with the RNG. So maybe a chance for Yarasu to close that gap completely if he gets a little lucky here.
Yeah, he can be dealt a bad hand. Nice
Speaking
piece
of lucky,
one here for Yarasu. Green ping from the off.
So both our players getting a good piece one. I say maybe a slight advantage to Yarasu in terms of piece.
Neither runner opts to check for Twin Skulls, which we've seen a few people do. And now both making their way over to this lower rocket here. Cryptic with Satellite Pumpkin piece 2.
An unfortunate 50-50 piece here. Needs to guess correctly.
Yeah, needs to help that coin flip.
And he does guess correctly.
Unfortunately, even with that correct guess, it's not the best piece he could have gotten. It's so far out from the rest of the stage, but not a bad piece for in relation.
Well, speaking of 50-50s, Yarasu gets one as well. Looking for the close one and gets the ping. So definitely a better set here for Yarasu, but he overshoots.
That's interesting. Yarasu with a little bit of overshot there.
Meaning that quite the better set. Yarasu's execution let him down a bit and losing 5 more seconds to Cryptic.
Unfortunate there for Yarasu, rather, because, like you said, he was dealt a better hand. All he had to do was land that dig, and he saves a little bit more time, closes that gap, but a mistake, well, hopefully for his sake, it won't cost him too much. And now mission streak time.
So
less than the big question.
Yeah, less than a cycle's difference here separating these two players as they go in. So if one is able to hit first cycle or zero cycle points and one is left on first cycle, you see these races practically even potentially going into the aquatic.
It'll be really interesting to see. We get that sort of first half of the run done and dusted. Cryptic there falling down, actually. That might cause some trouble because that means that he does have to hover over here now. And that makes weight hop that little bit harder. Cryptic does not land weight hop. That'll cause him some frustration and cause him a bit of time loss too as Yarasu cruises onto that weight.
You see them now practically in sync RTA. But Cryptic going to be unable to get that zero cycle, which we imagine Yarasu will be attempting. So
yeah,
definitely advantage Yarasu now.
He'd definitely be hoping if he knew that Yarasu does make that mistake, because all Yarasu does need to do is to execute this nicely, and he will be in front. Comes down to if he can make that cycle on time. As we see both runners approaching this hover over the crates, Yarasu opting for the pause hover, Cryptic also going for it. We've seen a few runners opt to go for the jump off the side off the wall for the sake of variant one-time save nowadays. It's an interesting strat, definitely not this easy to land, slightly inconsistent.
I think if you trust your tails movement, it's definitely worth going for because you can still make zero cycle, even if you do mess up that jump.
That's going to be tight from Yarasu. I don't know if he'll opt to go for it or not. He does not. Cryptic with an interesting choice there. First cycle there, I believe, from Cryptic, or possibly later actually. He did miss pole hop, remember?
This is first cycle. He only lost about 16 seconds, so he'd be expecting that checkpoint. So not actually losing that much time to Yarasu with Yarasu getting half cycle.
He does hold on to his lead despite his unfortunate mistakes earlier in the stage, missing weight hop. Cryptic stays ahead for now.
It's looking like this gap as they're pretty much in sync. So you can basically tell now just on your screen what the difference will be. It's looking like about 5 seconds, bearing no major mistakes coming to the end of this stage.
Yeah, this is fantastic actually. We pretty much are exactly in sync. It could be loads, though, the equalizer. We could see a perfectly synced aquatic mine cutscene here. As we see both runners approaching the goal ring, Cryptic out with an 11 flat on the clock. 11:00.71, and Yarasu just 6 seconds behind with an 11:06. He's not going to let himself get left in the dust, Yarasu. He's keeping pace. And as we see the emblem cutscene playing out here, as we load in now, no immediate free pieces. There's one for Cryptic.
Cryptic getting 3 fans. I didn't see one on the Yarasu screen.
No, none for Yarasu, but no green ping. Interesting there. Almost 2 sides of the same coin. Free piece, no ping. Ping, no free piece.
Cryptic getting that Ghost Room piece 1. Opting to go... Oh, there he goes. He knows sets. That set knowledge there on show from Cryptic.
Well, I mean, there you go. What did we say? Cryptic is one of the best in the game at Knuckles. And yeah, just showing it again there, making whatever hand he's dealt with work very nicely. Yarasu, hoping he's not going to lose too much ground here. He does need to finish up Aquatic Mine as soon as possible, because Cryptic is well on his way into Route 101 now. As Yarasu gets in front of the Bathing Mini Skull as his piece free, he'll have to move his way over to Ghost Room. And unfortunately, yeah, the gap is widening. Looking like that's about 30 seconds now. Well, what a difference a stage makes.
That is that hunting skill of Cryptic really coming into play. These runners have been very even through their Sonic and Tails, but just knowing what to check. I don't think that is a confirmed set, but having an idea of where that second piece could well be.
Yeah, Cryptic, it's a ballsy move because you got to have a bit of guts to go for it, in the sense where it's not always going to pay off, but in this situation, thankfully for Cryptic, it did pay. He ended up with a free piece and was able to cruise himself into Route 101 here, not necessarily following the traditional ring route here from what I can tell. So, more so just throwing himself at any rings he can see and taking them all. It's not going to do the most damage, but we'll see how Yarasu plays out, missing a couple of rings there at the start. So, neither runner really optimizing their Route 101s here.
Yeah, Yarasu being a couple of rings short of that boost that you like to have on the turn there. And then opting not to use the boost.
This is interesting from Yarasu. Route 101, traditionally, I feel like if you were to ask a lot of runners what the last stage they want to practice today would be, it's probably going to be Route 101. With a certain few exceptions, maybe. But, yeah, the thing is that, you know, as we say, you put a lot of time into it. The rewards aren't amazing. You know, it's a few seconds of time save, sure, but at the same time, you can just kind of make your way through it, do your best, and come out with little to no loss, really. But Yarasu there won't like that. He does collide with a car, which is going to slow him down. Maybe make me bite my tongue. Cryptic, oh, this is interesting from Yarasu. He is going to lose a little bit of time here, maybe.
They're hitting that car, though, so losing a little bit of time himself, but definitely looking like he's had the cleaner Route 101. Yeah, you are right. You don't see many runners putting much time practicing in this stage. I think once you get to a certain skill level with it, you just sort of trust yourself to be able to play to that sort of consistent level, hitting the
Yeah.
213s, 214s with regularity.
Well, Cryptic
Because,
avoiding the absolute worst case scenario there, so that's kind of all you have to do, really.
yeah, I mean, I think when you come to this tournament, your main thing is get under 220 and don't die. That's sort of what most runners will be looking at.
Yeah,
Um,
correct, absolutely. Cryptic there with a 218. He will take that all day. Yarasu looking to keep pace now. The last thing he wants is for any more time loss.
Yeah, actually, they're swinging wide of that white car, not wanting to get anywhere near it as it comes close to despawning. Doesn't want to remove that track and take the 2-minute time loss.
Well, you know, for as much as I sort of voiced my opinions that you don't lose a lot of time in Route 101, Yarasu there probably won't be too happy with his performance coming out of Route 101 with a 222 on the clock. I think he knows that he could have done a lot better than that. As we see Cryptic entering Desert now, will he opt to go for pole hop? He does line himself up and gets on nicely. This is looking quite clean from Cryptic. I think he should have enough height. A little bit low there, but I think just based on how early he got on there, he's going to be perfectly fine. Yeah, fantastic execution. And that'll carry him through nicely for the rest of Hidden Base, I think, providing he avoids making any mistakes. Yarasu not being quite as fortunate there, slowing himself down, so that probably will mean that he will opt to skip going for pole hop attempts entirely, instead going straight to axle jump. The gap is widening in Cryptic's favor.
Yeah, I think Yarasu there could have attempted pole hop still. You do have a little tiny bit of leeway, but not getting a very good jump. But luckily the cycle there in his favor.
Yeah,
a little bit of a risk there.
Could have gone very wrong and could have gone very, very well for Cryptic. As we see, he is making his way towards the final stretch of the stage now. Yarasu looking to just maintain momentum and not fall any further behind. It'll be interesting to see, what does Cryptic opt for here? Does he opt to go for the pauses? He does so.
Yeah, play that nice and safe. No one risk any pauses over the sand.
He doesn't do it for the final jump, which, you know, you don't have to pause for any of those jumps, but it is no doubt more difficult to pull it off if you're opting to really, really look for all of the V1 time save you can get. Cryptic coming out with a very, very respectable 148 there. Pole hop playing into his hands nicely. And yeah, it's all catch up for Yarasu at this point, unfortunately, for him.
He's doing his part though, avoiding any major mistakes here. He's losing a few seconds each split, but then all it takes is that one big mistake from Cryptic, and this race is going wide open again. So
well, yeah, that's the thing. It's
playing his part here.
Yeah, it's still been a case of narrow margins. You know, there hasn't really been a massive mistake from Yarasu to put Cryptic in front. It's more so been just good execution in terms of the knuckle stages that has been the big difference maker for Cryptic, and of course that pole hop as well. As we see him coming up with a very strong start in Pyramid Cave here, racing towards the upgrades. Looking likely he will get a 30 or 31 time, 29 time. Excuse me. Well executed there.
Yeah, Pyramid Cave, a stage he does enjoy and practices quite a lot. So he'll be hoping for good times here, and potentially even showing off a couple of lesser seen strategies.
Well, I think we've seen it a lot at this point, have we not?
I was referring there to the right side clip on the first door rather than the left side. Struggling a little bit here.
Yeah, he's going to want to get through here as soon as possible. That's a fourth attempt gone wrong. Number 5 coming up. Makes it through now, but that's exactly what Yarasu is going to need, you know? If he's going to want to find his way back into this, that is exactly what Yarasu needs to happen. Going to be interesting to see now if Cryptic will still opt to go for his favorite hex skip after taking that time loss, or if he'll instead prefer to take the much safer option of just going for snake skip. He will go for snake skip, in fact, landing it nicely, or a little bit close there, actually.
A little low.
A little bit low. Yarasu is not getting the cleanest movement here. In fact, rail switching off there directly into the boo. We'll see how second door skip will treat him. First try there for Yarasu, doing what Cryptic could not. But I still think even with that from Cryptic, I think he's going to come out here with a bit of an advantage still.
Yeah, Yarasu had a little bit of problems just after the upgrade. hitting that hourglass and then into the enemy. The enemy did shoot
No
him, so
problem.
he got thrown back off and had to wait for the hourglass again.
Yarasu with plenty of height there for Snake Skip, landing that one a lot nicer. Neither runner going for Hex Skip, despite all the hype surrounding it. A little bit of camera trouble there for Yarasu. We've seen Cryptic go for Hex Skip a lot, talk up his abilities with the skill, but perhaps, I certainly think he's made the correct decision here in abandoning that decision, and abandoning any attempts of that skip, just for the sake of getting the job done. I think we saw a reset there in Death Chamber as he approaches his core piece 1.
Does take the 50-50 chance here with E101 getting the core though.
Yeah, this piece can be risky. Green room, not particularly favorable. But plenty of lives in the bank here for Cryptic. I didn't see him check for bugs on patrol there, unless he was instead opting to go for the fade-in check, which is a lot harder to pull off. Tilted picture piece 2 though, and what will this piece 3 be? You see Yarasu there getting a blue room piece 1. He'll make his way over there.
Getting between 4 pillars, so a good piece from where he is. He just booty clip over to the secret room and grab it.
Well, Yarasu is instead opting to go through core here, potentially for free piece checks, which doesn't look like he got the rub of the green on. He'll clip out with blue box clip now.
I think he did attempt red box clip and not quite getting it and opting not to risk taking it on a second attempt. Very understandable.
So Cryptic there with a 40.92 on his in-game timer. Very nicely done. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Go ahead.
So Yarasu not trusting his radar reading there. Only one of 3 pieces will ping like that. This one being slightly different to the other 2 pieces. So
that's right. You can either get where the bug used to be, Beauty and the Beast, or that there piece, which is probably the worst one to get of the 3, requiring you to climb up a lot higher. But red box clip executed nicely.
Yeah, clipping a little bit earlier than he probably wanted to there, but getting the piece nice and well. As you see Cryptic here hitting Cat Boost, starting off on his KBB fight. You're hoping not to mess up any of these 4 hits.
Very strong from Cryptic. I think, to be fair to Cryptic, let's give him full praise, because barring...
that is a mistake, though. This is one he was making earlier in his practice runs, so
I was just frustration there. I was just about to say, other than City Escape and Green Forest War Run, there really hasn't been a mistake to speak of, but, well, I spoke too soon. He does get another successful Cat Boost, though.
Yeah, opting for the Digless Cat Boost, one you don't see very often from runners.
No, but he seems to like it. It seems to work quite well for him. Yarasu going for the bait. And getting a little bit of an early boost there. Both runners pulling off Cat Boost.
Yeah, making sure he's holding the right angle this time.
Just making sure that he does get through this nicely. He does so. Takes that little bit of time loss on the chin. And will now go into Golem, which we'll see what strats he opts to go for.
I can tell you now, Cryptic will be super bouncing. 100% super.
Yeah, I know you were there during his PB earlier, so we'll see what he opts to go for. Well, that's 1. That's 2, and that one does land successfully. He does back himself with these super bounces. Very inconsistent, but Yarasu there, first time of asking, nails it up to the top.
Yarasu
Interesting
again.
To see both of these runners going for this, but Yarasu nearly getting thrown straight off there by the Golem.
Yarasu unlucky with his 3rd attempt. He's going to want this hit nice and quick. Oh, thrown down again.
This is the thing, you know,
this is so well.
This is what makes super bounces so risky. They're fantastic if you pull them off. They save time over any
and he's getting ballerina because he took a bit too long. This is what I was worried about.
Cryptic coming out with a 39.60 on the in-game timer plus a restart.
Yarasu ending up with 5 super bounce hits there from Yarasu, so and then
one more.
Showing off one right at the end because why not?
A crowd pleaser there, because we'll see him. Oh no, it's not quite how that works. I'm perhaps a bit unfamiliar, but I was under the impression that if you hit him once more, you get free control in that cutscene.
It's all about the timing, I think, with it. It's never one I've really looked into, but so we see about a 29-second gap here as we enter Internal Engine, so still very, very close race.
And yeah, come up on everybody's favorite, Gopher, and we'll see. Could this be a difference maker? Cryptic is not going to go for a first try attempt, no sir. Instead opting just to take any potential risk out of it. Well, not all potential risk, but a much more consistent attempt here with second try Gopher.
Yarasu out and Cryptic out. So Yarasu getting that first try, Cryptic taking the second. So it's about 18 seconds now that separates them. as they both
Yeah.
flying through space. So
No fear from Yarasu. He'll always go for it.
yeah,
And that's played into his hands nicely, provided he executes this out of bounds well. Opting for the pauses here, that will lose him some time. Instead, dropping down and neutral sticking tends to be a strat I prefer to use myself, preventing any potential weight in the pause screen.
I'm the same as you. I just let go of that boost and then switch my camera around. But yeah, seeing the two differences. So going for first try, it's less consistent, or at least, you know, it may be a placebo effect, but it has been known to be less consistent for runners. But a lot of the time, I don't understand usually the decision not to go for it. You only lose a couple of seconds for attempting it, and the time it does save, which is clearly visible here, by getting it first try, they more than makes up for it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a bit different from other things, like a city escape attempt, where, you know, going for a second attempt of that, probably don't want to be doing that during a race because, of course, it is such a potential time loss. But with this, you know, it's a one shot, take a shot, and then if it doesn't work out, just go back, work your way through it, and you've got another try, you know, and it's a lot more consistent that second time around. So the decision to not go for it first try is a debatable one.
But we do see now that 12-second gap, as I estimated, heading into Meteor Herd now. So very interesting to see what RNG throws up the last time of asking. Could easily separate these. A good first piece for Yarasu here.
Yeah, and let's not forget, we saw Cryptic get Floating Stone in his hintless race.
Getting the same piece.
Yeah, hello. Well, I mean, it could happen. You know, it's a 1 in 10,024 chance. Let's see how this plays out. What will the piece 2 be here?
Even seeing the free piece.
Piece 2 will be Between the Moon and the Stars. Oh, for a second there.
So one getting a top piece, one getting a bottom piece. He'd probably rather be in Yarasu's shoes here.
Well,
but Cryptic getting the bottom.
Bite your tongue, because there we go. It's worked out again for Cryptic. RNG is his friend today.
Definitely a very good piece 2 for Cryptic, but he could have been in a little trouble had he gotten a top piece. But
yeah,
no, getting that luck with the bottom piece and a 30-second set. Nobody complains about 30 seconds in Meteor Herd. And Yarasu taking a 50-second set in the end.
I don't know if it's fair to say, but do you think maybe Knuckles is winning Cryptic this race right now?
I think if you look between the Meteor Herd and the Aquatic Mine, that really does add up to probably more than the 32 seconds we are seeing separate them here.
It's not RNG that's winning Cryptic this race. It is his own skill, no doubt. But it's just the execution in these Knuckles stages that is carrying him ahead at this point. Still not over the finish line yet, though. We've still got a few stages to go before we can say that.
So getting safely out of his roof, right? Not quite able to get out of the arena there, which is what he looked like he was going for.
I've seen Yarasu do that a few times. Yarasu opting for the first hit, then grabbing the ring. Nicely cruising his way through. He should be just fine here. And he makes his way out of the arena.
You know, both runners going to be entering into Crazy Gadget. So this could very much be a decider here. Very difficult skip coming up.
I think this may be.
See if either of them are able to get this first try CGSS.
Well, I can safely say that, you know, personally, I've been converted. I was once a believer that pause buffering CGSS was a consistent thing to do, but now I've seen the light, and I think both of these runners, with their skill level, they should find it pretty easy. Let's see how this plays out.
I'm glad to hear your conversion, Tethys. I was one that certainly was not a fan of your pauses through that skip.
No. I'll
getting
do
out of bounds first try.
There we go.
Using those hover frames.
Disgusting.
No, he's pausing for the hover frames, but has loads of distance here. Should have no issue.
Yeah, Cryptic getting out very nicely. And Yarasu also behind, making their way over. They should both be perfectly fine, opting for the spin dash jump strat as opposed to box over, which should give him plenty of height. A little bit high from Yarasu. He's just going to have to rescue here, but he does so. Gets over the finish line. First try CGSS from both runners. Well executed.
They are seem to running out of time now for Yarasu. Not a lot more he can do in this race. He's just got to be hoping for that mistake, you'd imagine, from Cryptic.
No, yeah, it's been a really good run from both runners. Potentially low to mid 25 pace, I think, for Cryptic.
This is a boss fight he has had issues with. The only reason he PB'd is because I talked him through this fight he was in there. So let's see what time he does get.
getting the nicest
Yes.
Eggman 2
Oh,
here. That'll
he's got to be careful. Oh, just avoiding the
squeezes
death.
out. Still needs one hit though. Eggman's firing that laser. Cryptic gets around and takes down Eggman 2 with 23 seconds.
Yarasu not having the cleanest
23.
fight either, though. So
No,
not really
not
going to be able
quite.
to capitalize on these mistakes from Cryptic. It does
But he
get
does
about
close the gap
2.5
slightly.
second time save.
And now here we go. It comes down to this. It's a final rush shootout, basically.
Yeah, with less than 30 seconds separating them. One mistake here in this level could decide it.
Yeah.
So
It's
Cryptic, we
advantage
have
Cryptic.
seen him in this tournament, in his first couple of matches, really struggling with this skip. See if
He
he's
has
gone away
got
and
the
worked on it.
advantage as we load into the finish line here. So yeah, we're gonna have to see just how this goes.
I think I was moving a little bit there, getting onto the rail.
Here we go. So jumping off on 22 there, Cryptic. Yarasu a little bit faster, 19 seconds on the timer for him. So we'll see when both of these runners turn, and that should help us get a rough estimate of what their height is going to look like as they come towards the end. So Yarasu, I estimate, will probably be turning at around about 36, 37 on his timer. There goes Cryptic.
Maybe turning a little bit late there. His timer hit about 40. You're looking for about 17 seconds. And he does take the death. I did say it was a bit late. And that is looking like he's just handed this match potentially towards Yarasu.
Well, a twist in the tail if there ever was one.
I did say it looked a little late, and oh,
I
can
said
you
it was a
believe it?
shootout. But Yarasu's not there yet either. You know, it could come down to maybe it went a little too late, but I think he did time it nicely. It looked like he timed the turn nicely. I think he's going to have a lot of height here.
He has plenty of height here. Miles to the right, so going to be avoiding that big kill flame through the middle. So
yeah, Yarasu
all you imagine now
position.
stands between him and this victory is a good Shadow 2.
That's really unfortunate for Cryptic because he's been in the lead for almost the entire race, and because of that one mistake, it's all in Yarasu's hands now. Going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. Also interesting to see if Yarasu can stay underneath that 25 barrier with a good Shadow 2. He should be able to.
I mean, it does look like Cryptic is going to be less than 20 seconds behind, though, potentially, into this fight. And we have seen Shadow 2 troll people before.
Desperately racing to try and get over this final rush finish line. Plenty of height. He should be okay. But needs a mistake from Yarasu. So, here we go. Yarasu just needs to get these 5 hits, and it should be all his. That's 2.
A little early on that third hit, though.
Gonna have to bounce there, but a death
taking
from
the death.
Yarasu.
So there's going to be less than 4 seconds separating them into the final fight.
My word, here we go. It is not over yet, folks. So here we go. It's all coming down to this final split.
Yarasu again, a bit early on that third hit.
Struggling again.
So this does hand the advantage back to Cryptic. If he can get a clean 16, he will win this race.
Yeah, if Cryptic can get this just nicely. He did struggle with it in his PB earlier. Yarasu.
So Yarasu with a 25, so Cryptic needs a 21 here to win this race.
Can he do it? He just needs this correct execution. He doesn't get the first hit nice. It's going to be mega
an unfortunate bounce. It's going to be so close as we go into these final few hits.
This is going to be incredibly tight. 2 hits to go. 1 hit to go.
And he does it! Cryptic winning by less than 2 seconds. Unbelievable.
Whoa. Wow. 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 Well.
Oh,
we said it'd be close.
Match. What
I didn't think that was going to happen. Wow.
The way that lead changed hands there right at the end into Final Rush and then back into the Shadow 2. Unbelievable match.
That is something else. That has to be the closest finish so far.
As we do get joined here by both runners.
No.
Oh, we're live?
None of that, thank you.
What the fuck?
Yes.
Hold on, are we on live right now?
Yes.
You're on live.
I just want to say, Yarasu, that I didn't want it any other way. That was the coolest race of all time, and I'm so happy that we both finished within 2 seconds.
Oh my word.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys know how it went, but basically Cryptic was sort of narrowly ahead for the majority of the race. Then Cryptic died in Final Rush. So Yarasu, you snuck ahead. And then it was that Shadow 2 death, which made it all so close.
Really? Shadow 2?
Yeah.
There was...
I died to Shadow 2. This was so... I don't even know how... I mean attacking on him when he was like besides the platform, but
I think what
have
happened
no
is,
idea
yeah,
how.
you went to bounce for that third hit, got onto the lower platform, then I think you went to attack him and you just fell underneath the stage, I think.
I'm in tears
Yeah,
right
oh,
now.
massive,
There's no way.
This was okay.
But a massive, can I just say a massive congratulations to both of you on putting such an amazing performance in there.
Wow.
Literally less than 2 seconds separating you. That's how close this
Yeah.
race was.
GG's, man.
GG.
Oh, massive,
wow.
massive
You know-
commiserations to Yarasu. It couldn't have been any closer. Wow. That's quite something. I
But
mean,
can I
congratulations
just say,
to Cryptic. That's 3-0. But go ahead.
can I say good luck to who is it next? Stiller and Zane trying to follow up to that race.
Alright, I have
yeah.
to comment it for this one. I have
Right.
to catch up with, I guess.
I mean, I'm going lightheaded right now. I just want to like, anyone want to
What a
hug?
day! What a day it's been of the SA2 Hero Story Tournament, and plenty more to come. Wow.
So while we have this
Incredible.
platform, I just want to take the opportunity, Tethys, to say it's 2-0 to Peterborough. So sorry, buddy.
I noticed. Thank you very much.